Welcome to the Main Basketball Rankings podcast. I am your host, basketball data nerd Lucas McNelly, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and yours and all that jazz. Recording this Wednesday evening, so you're probably listening to this on Thanksgiving, so hopefully you are driving somewhere to hang out with your family and hopefully not end up strangling your uncle over some political debate. But either way, hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving. Got an interview coming up here with Windham head coach Chad Pulkkinen, assuming I said that correctly. Really great thing about having how they're going to try to defend the title this year. They, of course, won Double-A. So we got a couple things to knock out before we get Chad in here. The good folks at Camden Rockport High School are celebrating the history of, they're celebrating two of their gold ball teams, the 74 team and the 99 team, with a gold ball game, with an alumni game rather. So that is Friday night. I already asked, the 74 team will not be playing the 99 team, which is probably for the best because they would be, the 74 team would be 78 years old, 80 years old, something like that. And I feel like you would need some paramedics on hand if that game were to happen. But I think it's a pretty wide range of Camden alumni who will be there and playing. And so if you are in the general Midcoast area, or you just are a fan of Camden Rockport basketball, or just old guys maybe tearing an ACL, that's the place to be and should be a good time. A lot of people have been talking, obviously, for very good reason, about Cooper Flagg and what he's been doing at Duke. But you should know that there's another player from Maine who did reclassify up a year to play college early, and she is doing, I don't want to say better, but the counting stats are higher. Grace Jaffray from Ellsworth reclassified a year to go to Johnson and Wales. She is the two-time GNAC Rookie of the Week. Just dropped 43 points on, I want to say it was Wheaton, which is a school record or program record. So there it is. Yeah, Wheaton College, 43 points. They are 5-0. So all the congratulations to her. That's so cool. And yeah, there's a bunch of tournaments going on this coming weekend. You've got the South Portland one. You've got the South Portland one is going to be a big one. And there is on Facebook in the Maine high school basketball group, there's a post that says, put in your schedules for your tournaments, your preseason tournaments. There's a bunch of them in there. There's also a bunch of people going in there to vote on a poll. I talked to Chad about this a little bit. There's a poll. I keep adding regions of who's going to win each region. So if you want to, show off some school pride in a dumb Facebook way, you can do that. So my guest today is Chad Pulkkinen. He was the coach of the year last year, and they won their first gold ball. So without further ado, let's get Chad in here. My guest today is the coach of the defending 2024 Class AA champions, Chad Pulkkinen. Did I say that right? I should have asked you before we got on.
No, that was perfect.
Chad is here. First of all, congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we have this photo of you guys from fresh off your championship win. You guys brought shirts. So sure you were that you were going to win. Were you afraid that was going to jinx you?
Well, like we talked about when you asked me about those shirts, we didn't know anything about them. So we have a T-shirt guy here in town that does this for all Windham championships, our football team, our softball team, soccer team. So in the back of my mind, I figured he would be doing something. He's a big basketball guy, Bob Biggie. And lo and behold, there was a box and people were passing out shirts, and I feel rude not giving you one because I know a lot of teams give you gear. So I should have thrown you one right in that moment.
I'm wearing a Maine Sting shirt, which I'm realizing now is chroma colored to the green screen behind me. It is what it is. So that was the first gold ball in school history.
Yep.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like how crazy excited was everybody in Windham?
Probably a 12. It was just it was a celebration, that lasted a long time that night with that game being so late. Just the whole community was supporting us on the run, not knowing if we would actually, complete the mission or not. But they were all there to support us. They were super excited about the regional championship, which we've never won. And, we have a tight knit community here in Windham that, supports all our sports.
I mean, it can be really tricky if it's your first regional title, because then I was talking to Spencer Emerson from Falmouth about this. It's the same situation. Like, it's so easy to go, well, we did it. And
Right.
then, oh, there's another game.
Mhm.
So what was the trick to letting them know that there's another game?
Well, we learned our lesson back in 2018. We had beaten number one Portland at the Civic Center in the semifinals of the North, and that was really exciting. They were the number one team in the state, and we upset them. And then we go and play an Edward Little team that we had beaten in the regular season, and we got beat. So I had some experience there. None of the players did, but I did, and some of our coaching staff did. So that was a hard lesson to learn. And you almost like thought you won it all beating them, and they've been a hard team to beat over the years for Windham. So yeah, I think it was just a matter of staying focused, trusting the process, enjoying the fact that we had one more week of practice together, and prepare ourselves for a really good Gorham team. So
It can be such a trap if it looks like the path is clear. For like, if you knock out the 1 seed or someone else knocks out the 1 seed, you're like, oh, this is it. It's all lining up for us. And then that's just the
exactly.
classic trap.
Yep. Yeah, we got trapped for sure.
So you guys won the gold ball, and then I was watching on social media. You were sort of doing a tour of Windham, taking the gold ball different places. What were some of the cool things, some of the cool interactions from that?
There's still a lot of former players in the town, from the 70s, 60s. Those guys just couldn't wait to hold it, seeing those photos. And then the community support. And there's a lot of family businesses that have sons and daughters that are in the youth sports, especially the basketball program. So, those programs and businesses that supported us, we made sure we went and, so they could touch it, take pictures with it. So we tried to get to as many people that supported us. And, we went through the school as well. We went through the primary school, and our guys got to sign autographs and kind of hang out with the kids at the end of school one day, which was special for our guys to see their impact as role models in the community. So, it was just a fun tour. So,
and that's got to be so cool for those kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those guys come to our games, and then to be able to high five and kind of hold the gold ball with those role models of theirs it was special just from my perspective, watching, the joy in those kids' faces and our guys' faces. So it was a cool, giving back moment for our group.
Now, I know you have your guys do a lot with the youth program, from what I've read. How hard is it to get them, not to get them to do that, but to get them to buy into why that's important? Because it could be so easy to say, oh, well, that's going to be a problem in 5-6 years. I'm busy. I'm a teenager. I'm a high schooler. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the commitment that our guys have coming into our program. It's just, the good thing is that those guys had the same exact treatment from the varsity players that, when they were in those situations. So it's just a giving back opportunity for them. We explain to them that those are your fans. Those are kids that are coming to watch you on Tuesday and Fridays. So it's really been a pretty easy, sales pitch to those guys that, hey, we got to go do a kids camp on Saturday morning, even though we just played up in Bangor Friday night. We got to get up early, and we got to put our smile on our face and make sure we help these kids and give them something to believe in, and make sure that they know that we're there to support them. So,
is that a thing that goes back to when you played at Windham, or is it something you had to install when you took over the program?
No, the youth program's always been strong. There was a gentleman named Tim Blackie who started kind of the Windham youth basketball when I was a kid, and he just did a great job with, combining, the Windham youth basketball program and the high school program. And Pat Moody, who just recently passed, he took over the Windham youth basketball program about 2 years before I got the job. We've been friends for a long time, so we really brainstormed on how we could bridge the gap from really our middle school program into the high school, because our youth program was so strong. We wanted to obviously keep the numbers up, and we obviously wanted to have our varsity guys and JV guys, be able to interact with those middle school kids, give them an experience of like, okay, this is what you can expect next year. And, really just full circle and connecting all the dots to help the program, down the road with, one, great kids, and then two, kids that, were talented.
What did you learn in that process? And we'll tell all the other AA coaches to not pay attention to this part, but maybe for a Class B or a Class C coach, what are some things you learned in that process that like would be a takeaway for somebody else? Again, not AA, nobody you're playing.
Yeah. No, I'm sure what we're doing is we're not reinventing anything, but it's just the connections that you have with those kids. You see them in town, you see them at the local grocery store, and you're high-fiving them because you know that they were just at your camp. And those relationships start to grow over time. And our guys go to a lot of middle school games for the young guys, and they cheer loud. They're their student section, so it's just a lot of fun to kind of reverse roles for our group. So I think the biggest thing is just those relationships. You start to gain relationships with these kids at 12, 13 years old before they get to the high school, and then they're real comfortable with you and the staff. They're comfortable with the players. They kind of get our expectations. We start to do. We invite the 7th and 8th graders into the high school during the summer and work with our guys. They work out with them. They get to see how hard some of our top players, work and the encouragement that our guys give each other. So, we're just trying to lead by example at the highest level that we have in the town, just so those young guys can kind of see what that example looks like.
So speaking of your top guys, Crady Dixon seems like he's on the radar. He was fantastic in the tournament.
Yep.
Like I hadn't seen him before, and I was like, "Whoa, this kid."
Yep.
He seems like he's on the radar he's going to be a senior, right? So he's
Yep.
on the Mr. Basketball radar.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about his emergence over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Crady started for me since freshman year. So he's to me he's kind of been overlooked the first 2 years of his his varsity career. He's steady point guard at that time. He's obviously grown and gotten stronger. Super talented. He was with Maine United with Cooper Flagg and those guys when they first started out in middle school, and then into high school freshman year, playing for Andy Bedard, and just a super skilled player, a kid that just works tirelessly on his game. He's 6'2". He's the only player in AA last year that averaged a double-double. He's a point guard. That's what he's going to play at the next level, and he just does a lot for us.
Rebounding in the tournament.
Yeah, he just dominated the glass and just kind of went after things. And in the Portland game, he gets split and open, and he's just a tough kid. Our trainer's doing her best job to get him back in the game, and we're just lucky he's a Windham Eagle. He's just he does a lot for us, and he's super talented, and he's starting to get the respect that I believe he deserves. And his play will do the talking. He's he's a quiet kid, but he's extremely skilled. He's worked hard on his shooting. He switched hands last year. Not a lot of people know this either, but he was lefty in the beginning of the year, switched to righty, and changed his shot. He just didn't like how the left side was going. Not a lot of people can do that. No. Not a lot of people can switch hands mid-season. He kind of had an injury and ended up switching to his right hand. So he stuck with it. He's worked on his game all summer, shooting it really well right now in preseason and in our our first several practices.
That's like the sort of thing, like when we were kids, they would have all these like old books from the 50s basketball books. They're like, oh, so-and-so changed his shooting hand when he broke his arm, and then he learned to shoot left-handed, and now he was twice as dangerous.
Exactly.
You don't really see that anymore.
No, we did this last year with Crady. That was the first time I've seen it or heard it in a long time.
And it's not just like a one-game Larry Bird thing.
No, he all foul shots, everything.
Wow.
He went straight right-handed.
All right, so you do have a title to defend now, which is a new thing for Windham. Never had to defend a title before, and you lost a decent amount of talent. You lost Blake McPherson, Quentin Lindsay, Eric Bowen, a couple other guys. So roughly, by my math, about 50% of your scoring from the tournament. How do you replace those guys?
Well, we returned 3 guys that were in double digits. We returned Crady Dixon, AJ Moody, and Tyree James, Tyree had an incredible tournament. AJ, if you remember the championship game, he's the one that knocked down 2 free throws after he was tackled. Those 3 guys right there. Game's over now, I guess. But those 3 guys.
I thought that was great officiating, actually. But okay.
I did too. I thought it was the right call. Call. He didn't mean to, and he cramped up and lost balance. But those 3 guys, they're an incredible backbone to have coming into the season. Those 3 guys that we lost, they brought a lot of intangibles as far as leadership. So those are things that we're trying to improve daily right now, trying to find emerging leaders within the group. But those 3 players are as talented as they come, I think, in the league. And they're only getting better. AJ and Tyree are just juniors. They've been starting. Tyree was our sixth man last year and led us in scoring. So I think we have a good group coming back. We got a lot of hungry guys that want to step up in a bigger role, and they have this summer and they have this preseason so far. So we like the group that we have coming back. They're just they've got a lot of experience now watching a team be successful like that. Some of those guys were a part of that success. So with Crady coming back, there's a couple other guys that no one's ever heard of, just like no one ever heard of Crady, that are waiting for that opportunity. So we're excited for those guys to show what they have and get their opportunities to compete at, in the AA.
How essential do you think it is to be, even if you're a guy on the bench, to be in the environment of a state title game and to, not have it be your first real experience with that?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, we go back to the season before we won the sportsmanship award, and we get to sit behind Portland's bench. I think in that championship against South Portland, and we were able to, see the lights, look up at the lights that are really bright when you're on the court, and hear the atmosphere. So we told our guys, from there, just picture yourself in this game. And we said that the year prior, not knowing that we we're going to get there, but just take this opportunity to learn from it and enjoy the environment that you're seeing. So our guys kind of felt that. So we brought that up going into the championship game. Hey, we've already been here. We've been in these lights. We've seen what this atmosphere looks like. We've seen the gold ball come out on the table. So, our guys just did a really good job of visualizing that and then, being prepared for that, I think, when the moment came.
Okay, so in this title defense, this is a little bit of a weird question. Are you watching Joe Mazzulla and taking notes or is it too out of left field, his approach? Because he's really going at this title defense in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend that's on that Celtics staff, so obviously I watch the Celtics, and I'm a Mazzulla guy. I think he's kind of just really weird, but really focused at the same time. I loved his. I'm not quite on the red dot comment, but getting scoped out or whatever he said, but I do believe in what he's saying. I think you can the script usually gets written for you as a the previous champion. People are saying that you're defending a title. I think as the defending champion, you can write the script. We're not defending anything. We're still pursuing it just like everybody else, and we want to maximize our potential. So I think it's unfair to say that our team this year is defending that title that someone else won last year, which is the 2023-2024 team. So I am aligned with Mazzulla when it comes to that. It's nice to have someone get those questions prior to you in the region, seeing the Celtics handle that, and they've had some commercials and all those things that deal around it. But yeah, we're just worrying about each day. We're not really worried about someone else's expectations of us. We're just trying to maximize our ability and our potential.
I really can't remember a time in coaching, and I've been watching sports for a very long time, where a guy in like 4 months went from "Are they going to fire him?" to folk hero.
Yeah. Drew Holiday and Porzingis, that helps make that change real quick. So
that helps quite a bit. People are just like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm gonna back you up a little bit here. So you went to St. Joseph's, and after playing at Windham, and then I didn't know this. I was doing some research today. Played professionally in England at Northampton. Averaged 19 points a game, if what I read is to be believed.
Yep.
I've always been fascinated by, like, England is so close to us culturally, and yet basketball doesn't seem to have very much presence there at all. Mm-hmm. What was the big difference you noticed way back when?
It's funny because like when you play for the city that I played for was Northampton in the EBL, the English Basketball League, and that's our ownership was also the rugby owners, so we got to go to all those rugby games. But if you wore the city across your chest in any of those villages or cities, the fans go crazy for it. So basketball is maybe their third favorite sport over there, but for us it was you were a celebrity as a basketball player, and as an American, you get all the questions about if I was in a gang and all these things that they're perceiving as Americans. So it was a lot of fun that way, but the basketball over there is pretty physical. we ended up playing against like Luol Deng's brothers, who were really good. That they were in the country. Obviously, Luol's done a lot in England. And the sport's growing tremendously over there, just like it is everywhere across Europe, as everyone's witnessed in the Olympics. But at the end of the day, it was an incredible experience. I was one of two import players. The other player was from Dominican. He was one of the best centers in the league. So I got a lot of really open shots and off screen and roll, and being open based off his presence. So it was a lot of fun experiences over there. I still have friends that I talk to over there, and it was great to be a part of.
Did they try to convince you that you were driving on the wrong side of the road?
Yeah, well, a funny story. My first practice I went to, the team pays for your apartment, which they call flats, and they give you a car, and all our food's paid for, and all those things, and on top of our salary. And I got to practice one day, and I said, why is everyone giving me the peace sign? I didn't do a lot of cultural research prior to going there, but I got about 3 or 4 peace signs with the hand back to, and that means the same thing as our middle finger here in the United States. So they all got a pretty good laugh at it. I guess I wasn't driving great on that side of the road, and I'm in the right seat. I'm in the passenger seat of an American car, and I'm shifting with my left hand. So everything was a little bit different over there. It took me a little bit to get used to the roads, but I was safe, so it was good.
I was over there once, and I tried to tell them that if you invent the car, you get to decide which side of the road it drives on because you invented the car.
Right.
But they didn't seem to buy that as a reason.
Yeah, they love roundabouts too. Everything's a roundabout over there. You got to go the other way. So it's different. Very
like
different.
Augusta all the time.
Yeah.
So you had a knee injury there. Was that the thing that spurred you into coaching? Was coaching always on your mind? Like, what was that transition like? Because that's gonna be rough to have one season and then you got this knee injury and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, the crappy part was I had 2 ACL surgeries my first 2 years in college. So I had a medical red shirt my sophomore year, and I was able to play a 5th year. But I was able to get through that rehab and have a decent career at St. Joe's and have an opportunity to play overseas. Going through those rehabs are tough. 2 ACL surgeries, that's 6 to 8 months of rehab. So when I had hurt myself in a men's league game back here training for the next season, I was signed on for another year. My goal was to get to Finland. That's where a lot of my distant relatives are from. That's where my great-grandparents are from. So cool. I was hoping to go there and had connections over there. I just had to honor the contract that I was under, and my FIBA license was with the Northampton Neptunes. So, at the end of the day, when I came back and hurt myself, it was hard to, try to rehab. And I felt bad for the team, having a now beat up American where they could go get a new American. So it was a combination of, okay, that was a great run. And now it's time to go to the workforce. And at that time, my family business and my father needed some help. So I wanted to go help them and, change careers.
And so then what was the thinking, is it the thing where like the former athlete gets the itch? You're like, I got to get back involved.
Yeah, no, I mean, growing up, I had some really great coaches, some, people that inspired me, one being Pat Moody. Pat was just an incredible coach. In my youth, he was my 8th grade coach. So, I always wanted to kind of give back like he did. And he gave back in a big way to basketball. So that was always one of my goals, was to come back. And I only wanted to coach for Windham. I only wanted to come back and help the Windham program. And then, a couple years after, when I'm home, Kevin Millington takes the job at South Portland, who was my coach, who's a great coach. He takes his alma mater job in South Portland. It opens up, he takes it. And then Pat Moody's calling me, trying to get me to take the position. And at that time, I just had my second child, and it was difficult conversation, but my wife was super supportive, and the rest is history from there. But I'm glad Pat kind of reached out to me and pushed me, because I don't know if I would have at that time. I always had it in my back of my mind that I wanted to coach, but having 2 kids, like as you get distracted pretty quickly, and there's some other priorities. So
you hadn't coached at all when you took over as the head coach at Windham?
Nope, just my duties over in England. We did some, I think it was like 400 or 800 kids that we were in charge of during the weekends, doing camps and clinics. Did a little bit of local AAU coaching when I was at college. When I was hurt the first year, I went and helped and coached as I was rehabbing. So nothing with a resume, nothing assistant coach here, or player to, whatever. No background in it.
So how steep is that learning curve going from zero-ish to varsity head coach? Like not even like a JV season.
Yeah, I mean, when you're surrounded by you're in the game for a long time. In college, I was there for 5 years. I played under Rick Simons, who's one of the greatest coaches in the state of Maine. Rob Santacola was the coach right after that. So I had, two really great coaches that I could, lean on. And I started learning a lot about basketball at that time. I was in a more mature age to kind of understand the game a little bit better than just trying to get points and do the things you do in high school. And then overseas, I had a different perspective over there with the international play, and one of our coaches coached for the national team. So picking his brain and just, all the experiences I have it made it kind of easy. You kind of take from everybody that you learn from, and then you try to find your own way. And, coming into the AA with no summer, I didn't have any summer with our guys the first year.
Oh my gosh.
And in our second year, first year we had a decent year, and the second year we had another good year. And then that third year we knock off Portland in the regional tournament. And like I said earlier, we end up losing to Everett Little, but we had a pretty good season that year.
And now you're a made man in Windham.
Yeah. I guess so.
That's crazy. Like just the not even having the summer. Like so, you are really like Joe Mazzulla. You just got thrown into the fire.
Yeah,
and you had to swim.
Yeah, I was able to keep two assistants that live here in the town that worked for Millington for a while, Coach George McCrillis and Peter Brown. And it was good to have those guys. So I didn't have a staff at that time. So when they called and asked if they could stay on, I said, absolutely. And
like, please do.
Yeah. And they needed to, keep me updated on kind of what we had coming back and what the kids were like. And I wanted to know them and get to know them, since I didn't have that opportunity in the summer, which would have been important to have.
Yeah. I mean, you're just figuring out who's on the team, and you're like Norman Dale and Hoosiers. Like, what do we got here?
Yeah, exactly. What can we work with? And we had two really good players that ended up being 1,000-point scorers, and Mike Gilman and Nick Curtis, both on the same team. They were sophomores when I came in. So it was awesome coaching them for 3 years. And they had some really good role players around them. And, we made some decent runs in those years that they were there.
What's the big lesson if a new coach came up to you and said, and I'm sure this happens to you all the time now, what I'm starting out, what's the thing I have to focus on? What's your advice to a first-time coach? If you could go back and talk to yourself, be like, okay, don't do this.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of coaches get caught up in outcomes, really focusing on the process, develop your youth program, look to build a culture that you can be proud of and that can last, many, many seasons. And you do that all kinds of different ways. So I think just getting away from the process, getting into the process and more, ignoring the outcomes. The outcomes will take care of themselves if you take care of everything else, all the details. So that'd be my biggest thing. Everyone wants to win, but you got to find, you got to build the foundation first before you can get to that point.
Well, you got to win the possession before you can win the game.
Right.
Is kind of the way to look at it. I played poker for a living for like a year, and it's, your aces are going to lose sometimes, but you still play them.
Exactly.
Because that's the correct move, and eventually it'll all work out for you. It's just tricky when it's only 18 games or it's a single elimination tournament, and you're like, oh, well, my aces got cracked.
Yep. Yeah, and you got injuries, and you got all those different things. So, anything can happen. You got to have a lot of luck too to be successful. And, we know that, and, we're just trying to help develop these kids, help maximize their potential, and, making sure that we're taking care of the youth because they're coming up as well, and making sure that experience and environment is healthy and positive for them too.
Yeah, sometimes the biggest advice you can give someone for the tournament is have the flu go through the locker room the week before.
Yeah.
Not the week of.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys sick coming up to that championship game. We were getting a little bit nervous. We had 2 or 3 guys in our starting lineup have to sit out. Guys weren't feeling good at all that week, but we ended up getting healthy right at the right time. So we were a little nervous with those things. It happens to everybody, happens to every team. So
every year you see someone throw up in a garbage can, turning for some person. You're like, well, I don't think they're going far this year.
No.
All right, so let's look at AA a little bit, because I always feel like I'm completely like at a loss for what's going on in AA, because none of the schools are anywhere near me. And so I feel like I'm not plugged into that. So I have a poll running on Facebook of who's going to win Double A, and where do my notes go on that? Okay, so right now you guys are tied for second for Double A North, but with Portland, and Chevrolet is at 39%. You guys are both at 22%. Does that feel about right for that region?
Yeah, we love it. We love being the underdog. We're the underdog on a lot of your spreads too. So
yeah,
no, we like that. I think that's I think we all know Chevrolet is super talented. They always will be, and Portland's really well coached. But last year I don't think a lot of people thought we were going to be there. So you can't underestimate the guys that are underneath those three teams too. The Edward Littles, and I think Lewiston's a great team. I was just up watching them the other night. I think Coach Elgin up there, he does a great job with his guys. So I don't think you can count out those other guys, those underdogs. We were an underdog last year coming into the season. It wasn't until midseason that we started to be in the conversation that it might be a 3-team race in the North. I think Chevrolet should get a lot of love. They got the Player of the Year returning in the league. He's an incredible player, Leo. They got some young guys that are really, really good over there. And they're always going to be tough. So, either they got more Facebook fans than us to be able to vote that way, or
it's early. It's only been up for a day.
Yeah, now it might get out with our Windham crowd.
Yeah.
Now you get the Windham crew coming after it. So
let's do it. Let's pump up those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. We at the end of the day, we don't really look into that. Obviously, on our side, we let you guys and the other podcasts kind of make those predictions. We just kind of worry about ourselves.
How much of it is you say that and it's true, and how much of it is you're looking at it anyway and then go, no, I don't look at that stuff.
No, I love looking at it, no doubt. I love looking at it, and obviously everybody probably in the state that plays looks at it too. And what you're doing is awesome. I think it just creates a buzz and creates. I know you get a lot of fan bases that hate on you because you their team's low or whatever, but no, I think
some of you guys are still mad at me because you guys didn't catch Gorham in the final ranking.
No, I was going to bring that up because I did see your football rankings. You put Falmouth at number 1, which
no, Falmouth is
sorry,
2.
Portland. Sorry, Portland.
1, yeah.
Portland was number 1, even though TA would have been number 1 in the basketball side of things.
So what happens there is there's fewer games in football, so one game means more.
Yep.
And you guys were too far behind Gorham to catch him with just that one game.
Yeah.
And I was thinking Portland. I was like, oh, please don't do this again. Oh my gosh, please don't do it again. Because I'm sure, the national champion isn't always number 1 on KenPom either.
Yeah. We're totally fine with it. We don't really care that much. But
I think there's an element of we're all having fun with this,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like there's a couple people who are really mad at me, and then there's a bunch of people who just pretend to be mad at me.
Oh yeah.
And the ones who are really mad at me are weird.
But all that stuff's bulletin board, for those teams, and I'm sure a lot of teams, print your stuff off and then put it in their locker room. I'm sure there's a lot of that going on, behind the scenes.
I have a lot of coaches who will come up to me after a game and go, and some I don't even know, and they'll go, "Hey, we beat the spread."
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, good for you.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know you knew who I was. All right, so how? Let's look at Double A South because you guys play everybody there. Who are the teams to beat in Double A South?
I just watched Scarborough the other day. I thought they look really good. A lot of people aren't talking about Deering, but I think Deering returns. I think just about everybody. I think they've had the same starters for the last couple of years, and now they're seniors. I think they're destined for a great year. We play them last game of the season at Windham senior night, so that'll be a great challenge for our guys. Our guys are real, close friends with some of those guys. So, Todd's a friend of mine over there, and he's got a great team coming back. South Portland's always talented. They're always gifted, and they have guys that can really play right now in their squad. And then after that, you got Gorham, who yes, they lose 3 of their best players, but they return a bunch of players that have that experience too, and guys that want to step up into roles, and they can shoot it and they can beat anybody on any given night. And from there, Sanford, I haven't seen them play. We scrimmage them next week. Trying to think, TA obviously is going to be good with Wyatt. He's a great player, great offensive player. But I think Deering, South Portland, and then 3 on is kind of up for grabs. I think Scarborough with Adam Fitzgerald from Skowhegan coming in. I mean, him and Blanche in the game that I saw the other day, they're just moving the ball really well together, already connecting, and they played a Cape team and shot really well. So I think the South's going to be interesting. Bonnie Eagles is massive. They're a really good team. With size that a lot of teams don't have right now. A lot of the size has gone out of state. Bonnie Eagles really another dark horse that can cause teams trouble. So they're well coached. So it's just a lot going on in the South.
It seems like Double A, with the exception of Noble being bad forever until very recently, it seems like no one's down for very long.
No. And, we have so many new coaches in the North now too. Bangor, Oxford Hills, Edward Little, Phil Brooks, a good friend of mine up there. It was a great hire by Edward Little, replacing Mike Adams. You got new, blood in these coaching positions, which is exciting for those teams and those players. So, just different styles coming too, which is incredible. So should be a fun, exciting Double A.
So you mentioned the some of the sides going out of state, and obviously, so we got guys, and that Maine United team, the top, like half that Maine United team, ended up transferring prep, and one of them thought they would reclassify for some reason into this season. Whatever. It doesn't seem to be working well.
No, he's okay. He's just an okay player.
It's all right. What are some things we should be doing to? Because a guy Cooper's obviously always going to go to Montverde, a guy like that. But what should we be doing statewide to keep the rest of them here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the trend right now is to go prep. And, for me, it's my opinion of it. And I know other people have other opinions. My opinion is I'd like to see those guys stay here and then take their 5th year into prep. The transfer portal is so nasty right now for incoming freshmen at the high school level or prep level. I'd like to see those guys develop a little bit, gain confidence at the high school level. And then if they're not getting the recruiting that they want, then go into a prep year where they're getting stronger, getting a little bit more exposure. Obviously the Cooper flags are, that's just kind of a rare thing. Yeah. It's, he should go to the highest level and, national level and be national player of the year and all this. You can't do that for Maine. But some of these other guys that could have great high school careers here, develop, get the confidence that they need, and then take that next step as they graduate or closer to their senior year. I hate to see sophomores go. And you see a lot of these guys going prep around here, and then they're ending up at Division III, which they would have ended up if they stayed in high school. So, it's kind of it's just a trend that's going on, and people are in these kids' ears and helping them make these decisions. So it's tough. It's tough to know what's the best decision for each kid. Every situation is a little bit different, but to me, selfishly, I'd like to see these guys play in Maine and develop, and then when they have that opportunity to take it, if it's there when they graduate or maybe their senior year.
Well, the Galleys and Nate Ebert are playing at Kents Hill this winter, which is an electric backcourt combination.
Good team. Yeah,
I might find my way to one of those games.
Yeah.
I think they've already scored 100 on somebody.
Yeah, and Sunday you got the Costello Cup for St. Joe's and USM. You got a lot of Maine basketball players on the floor. You got Savannah Ishmael, who's one of the best players over the last couple of years that's come through the state. And he's leading that team over at St. Joe's, and USM's got a lot of, Brady Saunders, who's a great player, and you got, Galarraga, who's on that team, and a lot of local Maine guys that are, going to be battling against each other in a pretty historic matchup. Yeah,
that's a pretty cool roster. I was looking at that the other day going, oh my gosh, they've got everybody on this team.
Exactly. It's nice to see. It's nice to see that they're kind of staying local here and playing at that next level.
Yeah, like you make a good point. Like, why go prep to end up at Bates?
Yeah,
you can end up.
It's expensive too. It's expensive. It's if you're Cooper Flag and I mean you gotta go. Like Nick Kaner Medley, he stayed here all 4 years. Back when Maine had no real spotlight or recognition, and made it to the highest level in Maryland and was a pro for many, many years overseas. So, there's opportunities for kids, and then there's obviously opportunities at their end of their high school career to go and pursue a prep or a JUCO or something like that to prepare for a higher level, if that's what the higher level says that you should be doing. just by going prep doesn't mean that you're going to go Division I or Division II. You know, in a lot of the cases, you're going to end up probably where you deserve to end up, and that might be Division III, which is not a knock. It's just it is what it is, you know.
And it's part of it, just like the AAU culture and the whole, you know, the trickle down of that into the high school level.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you know, the AAU has a lot of great things. I think AAU back in my time meant a little bit different than it does now. There's so many opportunities and there's so many clubs, and you know, I don't know what that means. I'm not in that space really. My son's 10, so he's being recruited right now, but I'm still just keeping him local under my wing. But he's you know, I just don't know. I don't know what the real effect is of it. I think there's, you know, a lot of social media too. I think there's a lot of, you know, different things that people see and like, oh, I want to be a part of that. Or if I go prep, I could get there. And, you know, kids are dreaming what you want them to do. It's just, I don't know what's driving the trend. And I just see the other side from college coaches talking about the transfer portal and how difficult that is to actually bring in a high school freshman. So these USMs, these St. Joe's, they're getting some of the best talent in Maine. And some of these other kids that are really good aren't getting those opportunities. You know, it's just the roster spots aren't there like they used to be, because people can get people from all over the country to come play at USM or St. Joe's just through, you know, YouTube and social media.
I feel like the transfer portal is going to change at least a little bit in the next couple of years, because it seems way too unstable now.
Yeah, something's got to be done. I think it's getting it's like the Wild Wild West. You know, it's getting tough.
I feel like something like it's a 2-year contract or something like that. just to calm it down a little, because you know, geez, you like go. I think JP Estrella at one point was the only person on Tennessee's roster.
Yeah,
for a minute. Like
that's
insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. And you know, before people didn't transfer because there was a penalty to that. You had to sit out or whatever, and people just want to play. So once they allowed that kind of, you know, free movement, it's turned it into, you know, it's a huge business now too. It's just, you know, the NILs, all that stuff. So it's just an incredible turn of events, I guess, in the NCAA.
I actually am a big fan of the NIL because, like, I went to an NAIA school and I didn't play or anything, but you know, the quarterback at an NAIA school is like the big man on campus and could do a ton of local ads. But back then you couldn't do it. And, you know, he's not going to the NFL. Like almost none of these kids are going to the NBA. And this is the one spot where they're the most visible and they can actually make some money off of their talent. So I'm all for the NIL. I just,
I think that's huge.
Maybe some guardrails.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now you got, you know, billionaire donors, you know, in the football scene, you know, paying tons of money to switch quarterbacks from decommitting, and it's fun to watch. It's a lot of content that you can get consumed in, but I think it's a little crazy. It's hard for those coaches to develop a team culture or any type of program at that level, because any of their guys can leave if they're not, you know, not happy, you know.
Yeah. And then you talked about the social media. I mean, one of the things that made Cooper in a way was these mixtapes that were coming out when he was in the 6th grade or 7th grade or whatever it was. And that's what kind of got him initially on the radar. And then, of course, he exceeded everybody's expectations of it. But that goes to what you're saying of with the social media stuff, you can get noticed anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I know, I'm sure in England there's some kid that's pretty good over there that someone could scoop up, and you know, you see that with Maine. Maine's got a lot of international players. I don't think Mark Wood's going to each village over there. I think, you know, obviously he's getting highlights and stuff like that from those schools. He's got people over there that he has connections with, and he's getting some people that maybe someone in the United States has never seen before. So, you know, it's just the recruiting is so powerful now. The people that put in the work and can kind of do some of those, you know, highlights and stuff like that are going to have good opportunities or more opportunities.
Yeah. And they'll find you wherever you are. I think one of the things talking to some people is, you know, it's just the level of competition you can play against in a regular season, which is a reason to go prep. But, you know, you got AAU, you're playing in a tournament every weekend anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's those tournaments are massive, you know, they're, you know, if you can play, you can play. And, you know, Cooper's, you know, his highlights were unbelievable highlights. So that gets you noticed really quick. But a Division III school in North Carolina that needs a shooter, he could probably find, you know, 1,000 videos on shooters across the internet. and pick somebody. And if they say yes, great. Now I got a shooter on my team. So it's a wild world right now with technology and the ability to get to people quicker.
All right, so to pivot a little bit. Having watched a couple of these, this question is coming. Shot clocks, for or against?
Definitely for.
That was my guess.
Yeah, definitely for. We've been a part of a few stall games, not with our liking, but I just think shot clocks in general. I mean, I know the argument is money and all those different things, and I think we should at least test it out. Maybe test it out in AA. I've heard some people talk about testing it out at the tournament. And if you don't have a shot clock, you should get one if you want to prepare for that tournament. I think that's a great idea too.
That's my plan.
But, yeah, and I just think shot clocks in general are strategic at the end of games. What you're running, how you're playing. Is your guard play strong enough? Do you have things in your playbook that you can run and get a good bucket? When you're down 2 and the other team's going to get that next possession. It just brings strategy to it, and playing with a shot clock in both Europe and the United States, it just makes the game cleaner and better. It's just to me, I don't know why we're behind the 8 ball there. The fourth quarters can be ugly in the state of Maine, especially tournament time. We're fortunate to have really good guards. If we wanted to hold the ball for a whole 8 minutes, I'm pretty sure we could. That's not how the game was. That's not how the game's supposed to be played.
Can you do me a favor and not do that if I'm there?
Yeah, maybe we should start a GoFundMe for the state of Maine shot clock fund. I think you would probably raise a lot of money.
You might be able to raise some money for that.
Yep.
Yeah. When you were a player, when you had to make that transition, did you find that transition difficult, or were you just like, finally, there's a shot clock?
Not really. I mean, if you look at the game of basketball, even when I played, possessions were quick anyway. I mean, there's a lot of programs out there that run these 7-second offenses and transition game, and they're trying to get up quick threes and more threes and all these different things. So I don't think the shot clock really, at the end of the day, I think it really helps in those end of quarter situations, end of game situations. It just allows for more strategy and more, clean play that's enjoyable to watch. I don't think at the end of the day, like, people are going to violate the shot clock every possession. I think teams are already thinking quick shots to get the best shot you can get, create space for that shot and take it, instead of, I'm gonna get a shot off every time with 2 seconds left. I don't think teams are doing that.
Yeah, I think it would be like 2 possessions a game that would be impacted, and then the quarters where teams are just draining like 5 minutes off the clock, and you're like, oh my god, do we have to sit here for this? You're up 5. You get up 5 in a girls' game in the tournament, and the game's over with 4 minutes left.
Exactly,
and it's brutal.
Yeah, and from a defensive perspective, if you're pressing the ball, you're taking off time off that shot clock too. So there's a lot of strategy on the defensive side too, not just the offensive side. So I just feel like it'll help enhance the game here. I don't think it really matters too much from a preparation side from one level to the next. I think that connections. Just like it's almost like you're playing, a situational game every time on every possession because they have that clock running down. I don't think people are at a disadvantage coming from a shot clock and moving from one. But I do feel that it would help enhance the experience for these basketball games, especially tournament time.
Yeah, and the clocks are already there for the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
you just gotta turn them on.
Yep, turn them on and pay someone a couple dollars to run that thing for all day. So
we might not be able to turn them on at the expo because we can't seem to put the fouls on the scoreboard.
Right.
There's something with the clock there, something weird. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, who knows? All right. So let's say I'm gonna give you a hypothetical. I ask this a lot too. They put you in charge of the MPA for like a day. You have fiat, king power, whatever, dictator power. You do whatever you want. What do you change other than the shot clocks?
I mean, I probably, I like the 4 classes. I'd like to try to get back to that. I know they're trying. I know there's a lot of talks on that. I would like to try to figure that out. I mean, I think in theory, it all made sense to go to, 5 classes, but I think, you're running into a lot of different, troublesome situations now with that scenario. So I'd love to go to 4 classes again. I'd love to, beef up the top class and not just have 14 teams, have obviously more than that. That's probably one thing that I would do. I think we're missing a little bit there.
I've really a shame that the AA quarterfinals are not on the big floor.
Right. Yeah. I
They're
think
just at
that's
weird times.
exactly really weird times. So that's probably one thing that I would try to attack, try to solve, and try to make sure every party's, satisfied with that. But that's, 4 classes to me makes sense. And yeah, I kind of miss that 4 class atmosphere.
Yeah, one thing I've heard is that it's the part of the issue is money, in that the extra box office from that fifth tournament is, going to be a stumbling block.
Yep.
So, but I think if you add these quarterfinal, I mean, the amount of money that they're losing and not having the quarterfinal games of the 14 biggest schools in the state
Right.
on a big floor has got to be significant, I would think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you just look at that Gorham Windham championship game. How many people were there from both towns? I mean, I know it's an extremely hard subject for those guys to figure out, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on. So I might only work one day in the MPA, and then I might quit after that, because probably seeing what they have to go through their meetings and stuff, I'm sure it's not fun.
Well, the beauty of this scenario is you don't have any meetings.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's just
you
me.
can just do whatever you want. You could just say,
yeah,
restricted circle. We're doing it.
Easy. All right, that's easy then. Stamp it. Go. Figure it out later.
We should definitely have a restricted circle. I don't understand how we took away like the rebounding on free throws with the 1-and-1 as a safety concern, but not the restricted circle, which is the most unsafe thing in the game of basketball.
Yeah. And I know that was like a national thing, but I have never seen an injury on a foul shot.
I never have either.
Ever.
Unless it's like a fluke thing where you like tear your ACL untouched.
Yeah, maybe an elbow to the face on accident, but you rarely see that either. You don't see a lot of injuries there.
Yeah, and I love the 1-and-1. I think losing the 1-and-1 is huge, because there's nothing better than, down one and then you miss the front end of the 1-and-1. Like, oh my gosh, the drama of that.
Yeah, the drama. Yeah, it intensifies things. So yeah, I was confused about that rule.
Yeah, I don't think it helps. I think it's helping make the shot clock argument, because with the new foul rules and the not having the 1-and-1, it makes it even harder to come back in a tournament game.
Yep.
I think.
Exactly.
Because you can't get that missed one. It's a whole thing.
Yep.
And yeah, all right. So I think that just about does it. Do you want to make any predictions for this coming season? Nothing to put on a bulletin board for your
I'm gonna be pretty tight-lipped. I wish all the teams in AA best of luck, and I wish them all the best. And I'm just excited for the season, excited for hoops to get going. We got a big tournament in the south right now that you should come by on at the South Portland tip-off, the Hike Classic, or not the Hike Classic, it's the Yankee Ford whatever Classic,
something or other. So I almost went to that after the football games, because I thought it was last weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I was talking to people, and I'm like, oh, well, they're playing at South Portland right now. Maybe I'll just swing over for like an hour and say hi to some people or whatever. And then I get in my car and I'm like, okay, let me see who's actually playing. And then it goes, oh no, that's next weekend. Okay.
It's all day basketball. It's right up your alley. It's all day.
That's all I need right now is all day basketball. So I might find a way to swing down there for that.
Yep.
Actually, is there anyone not in AA that you're excited to see this year? Any players?
Yeah, I mean, we get to play against two of them. We get to play Noble this, Friday night. We played Noble at 8:00, and then we played Madomic Valley, 2 teams that are predicted to be top of their class. So great challenge for our team. I'm excited to see Jimmy Rose. We haven't played against him. I've seen him play a lot, and I know Bryce on his team. They're really good players. So
fun to watch.
And they're well coached. Both teams are well coached. You got the Patsy coming from Falmouth to Cheverus, now Cheverus to Madomic, so that's a good addition for them. So they bring some size with him and Lash up there. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see those 2 teams really, and we get to see them up close, front row seats. So it'll be a lot of fun this weekend. All
right. Well, your title defense, I wish you the best of luck in your title defense, even though it's not a title defense. It's the winning of a new title, or the pursuit of the winning of a new title, or whatever. However it shakes.
Whatever we're going to call it. Yeah.
Whatever you're going to call it. Yep. And hopefully you get some more t-shirts out of it. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for everything you do for Maine basketball. And it's an honor to be on the show.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. That's the show. Thank you so much to Chad for joining me. go see a Windham game this year. It should be a lot of fun. Crady Dixon is super fun to watch. If you are thinking of subscribing to the site, I'm pretty sure I'm doing a Black Friday sale. That probably will be set up by the time you listen to this or watch this, assuming I can do what I think I can do on the back end. So it'll be not a huge sale because whatever, but it'll be a little sale, and it keeps this operation running. It keeps the lights on, and even the light that went off, you may have noticed while I was talking to Chad, and it's charged back up now to do the outro, and we move on with our lives. All right. This has been a production of MaineBasketballRankings.com, your source for the most comprehensive coverage of Maine high school basketball from Ashland to York and everywhere in between. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts and a bunch of places you don't. If you enjoy this, please leave a nice review because it really does help out with algorithms. Thank you to Steve Carey from Maine Sting for the swag that is chroma key colored for some reason. I don't know why, because the chroma key is green. I don't know why it's triggering it, but whatever. Anyway, still appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Thanks for listening.